Okay, good afternoon. This is Somesh, and I'm here with Rowena Moore.
Hi.
And Rowena contacted me, and we decided to have a chat on this lovely Sunday afternoon. We're both taking time out of our Sundays.
That's right.
To have a chat, and I'm really excited we've already been chatting quite a bit. We've chatted about everything from falling branches to choosing the trees to
the local
to everything.
Recycling
We've had a good
and
chat.
all sorts of things. Yeah.
So now we'll get some of it on camera, and specifically around the subject of the local elections, because as I was saying to Rowena, I don't really understand much about it, and I'm in the process of learning about it, and I thought, while I'm learning about it, I might as well be able to, I've got this platform now, which is the community app, which
Did you start the community app?
Yeah, which I think is personally brilliant.
Yes, I intend to download it. I did find it, but I haven't yet downloaded it. But I think it's a good idea, because at one point someone started a village WhatsApp group, and I thought, well, that's a crazy idea, because it will go bonkers. It will be too
there
busy.
is a village WhatsApp group.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't want to be
There's
part of that.
There's a notice board WhatsApp group.
Well, that's fine too. But I mean, again, you just get deluged by too many things.
Yeah,
so
that was the
app
idea.
With different bits is quite clever.
Yeah.
I think I'm slightly dinosaur-like when these things come out. So.
Well, you'll enjoy it, because
just
like you say, the WhatsApp group. I mean, I'm part of the WhatsApp group. I go through the WhatsApp group, but if you skip it for at least 2 hours, you come back. There's 50 messages.
But I don't want that. It's just
and I'm like,
so
really? There's got to be a better way to doing this.
So on the Second Life Volunteers WhatsApp group, and actually I get told off every now and again because I send too much sort of cheery hi stuff, and I shouldn't do that because there's too many messages otherwise. And I don't know, there's 40, 50 volunteers.
Yeah, how do you manage that?
Well, you just have to be quite strict.
Yeah.
It's only for, we need someone in at lunchtime to take us for short, and we should try.
You're quite focused on
exactly.
that. Otherwise it becomes a stream
and there's
of
another one
consciousness.
which is about actually kind of being friendly volunteers, but actually no one uses that. I'm not sure it's even got going, but the one for the volunteers day to day that Alexandra and Naomi run, which is very good. Second Life is brilliant, and we've got a great WhatsApp and a great group of volunteers.
Okay, so that's for Second
WhatsApp
Life shop.
for Second Life volunteers.
Great.
Yeah,
I heard there's quite a little community that have set that up, and I was speaking to Alexandra actually yesterday.
Yeah, she's lovely. Alexandra's amazing.
Yeah, she's
They were
amazing.
very lucky to find Alexandra.
Yeah.
Her and Naomi, and kind of really good, because we had the previous village charity shop, which was all volunteers, and that was Ruth and I can't remember, tall lady, what was her name, and the other one, 3 people, and they did it as volunteers, and bless them for years. But they got tired, and it's not really fair to ask the same people to volunteer day in, day out.
Sure, that's a lot of
So the
work.
fact that this works with paid managers is much better, and then lots of volunteers to help out.
Great. How big is the team?
I don't know. You should have asked Alexandra that question.
Yeah,
I think it's about 30 or 40.
Really?
It's growing all the time, and there are some people who help a lot. There are some people who do lots of different things. So we've done jigsaws at home. We just sit and people donate jigsaws. We sit and do them, and then if they're complete, we sell them, and if not, then you say they're not complete, but they're still satisfying or whatever, so people don't get disappointed by buying their £1 jigsaw and finding that.
You're getting really good at getting jigsaws.
Oh, my daughter and I like doing jigsaws. When we're bored in the winter, it's actually quite a nice thing to do regularly in the summer, but in the winter it's quite fun.
Yeah, sort of went out of fashion for a while, but
you know,
obviously it's coming back in.
I've got one in the cupboard that's the geography of the Netherlands. Face that one. And we did one just before Christmas that was blue and green birds. It was very Steiner, and that was really hard. It took us like a week together. But most of them, you do the kids ones as well, the sort of 20-piece jigsaws. I said they actually just do it in the shop. But yeah, because there's all sorts of things you don't realise. There's people who mend, there's people who make and fix. There's people who volunteer regularly in the shop. I volunteer randomly. I tend to go at lunchtime because I know that often Alexandra and Amy don't get lunch because they're just so busy.
Yeah, I've heard. She's saying it's a very, very busy shop.
Sorting donations. I mean, sometimes the amount of donations that come in.
And it's a small shop. It's not a big shop.
No,
it's
so
a
you
small
have
space.
to sort it out quite quickly. So I don't like sorting. That's what she does. The sorting. She's very good at it. I like to sit on the seat, chat to people and sell things, and that's great.
Okay, so you're volunteering there as well.
Yeah.
You're working in the shop as well.
Yeah, because I used to volunteer in the previous one, and it's a lovely way to spend an hour or 4.
Nice.
It's always longer.
I guess it's great to interact with the people that are coming in,
and you always come home with things. I always say I'm not going to buy any more.
Yeah, because you get to see everything as well.
20% discounts. I just have to plug that. Volunteers do get.
That's a reason to be volunteering. That 20% discount.
That come past. So I've got some strange things in my house that I never thought I would get, like a kimono. I've got a brand new wooden jigsaw of a McLaren car that's a present for someone who actually has a McLaren car and doesn't need any presents. But this thing came in, I was like, that's a birthday present for this person that doesn't need anything. I wore a top recently to an old college reunion black tie do. I haven't been to black tie for years, and my jacket came from Second Life. My trousers, my underneath trousers. I've got 2 pairs of trousers. I'm going to take those cycle. My underneath trousers are from Second Life.
Great. Well, the thing is, you get access to all the best stuff.
Well, you see it coming in.
When it comes in, you're like, that is mine. Totally. That's definitely mine.
But there's a good social, there's a volunteers network. There's people who find it a very good source of, community.
Because it's really sharp.
Have you been
relaxed.
into it?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually donated to it too.
Good. I mean, there's always something happening. And, it's a good place. We're very lucky to have it again. So fantastic. Well done.
Congratulations.
Well done, Row Resource, for finally getting it there, because it's always a long. When we talk about elections here, so it invariably takes longer to get everything done than you think it should.
Yeah.
And
so what is the history behind that shop, for example? Well, is that part of something that the council was involved in? Or
it came out of the tip closing.
Okay.
Actually, originally. So there was this original charity shop which funded the venue just over there. It raised £300,000 or £400,000.
Really? The original charity shop?
The original charity shop.
When was that? Because I don't think I ever saw that. I arrived here in 97, so...
97? Oh, yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It must have stopped... Oh, it stopped before Costa came in. No, Betfred. I'll get in the muddle as to which was which.
Betfred as well?
Betfred.
Oh, my God.
But we got turfed out because one of them came along. Costa Coffee came along. We were where Betfred had been, and then Costa Coffee took on the lease. So then it had to close. But actually it's a good thing, because the people who've been running it, again, Ruth and Wendy and I can't remember her name. I can picture her. I'm really bad with names. They were tired, and they said, actually, it's quite a good time for us to finish now. And we've raised all this money, which enabled the build, that beautiful building. And the Mooga was a donation. So that it sort of was set up with the purpose of funding a youth centre and a sort of community building, which it did.
And they've done a great job, because it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Have you been inside?
Yeah, I've hired it for.
Oh, have you? Oh,
various
fantastic.
things.
Yes, it is.
It's very beautiful.
I love it.
Great job.
It's a gorgeous building, and we're very lucky. But again, I think when we started doing it a long time ago, Georgia Taylor was chairing the group that spec'd the £1 million community building that was going to be there instead, and have a full working kitchen, like a teaching kitchen. And that luckily got downsized a bit. But so that was the original community shop, and then I think we all knew that it would be a good thing to have again, because it's an affluent area, so the donations here were very good, let's put it that way. And also we will have too much stuff. So the tip closed. We tried very hard to stop them from closing it, and then to get somebody else to run it. I presented the petition to East Sussex County Council, but that was it. Financially, it didn't actually make sense to have the tip. We used to have a reuse shop on the side of the tip. So
I bought lots of stuff there.
Okay.
Great stuff.
So the original plan was to kind of keep that going. But then,
which would have been good.
Which would have been good, but we weren't allowed to. We tried to get Viola to buy it, but then that got very expensive. And then they just put it out the highest bidder. We actually put in a community bid for it as well, but they didn't accept our community bid because they got more money from elsewhere. And I think that was probably the right. I think that'll work out for the best,
Because who owns it now?
I think it's Scrap Metal Recycling. It's a private company that bought it, and they do scrap metal recycling.
And they're actually using it now?
Yeah. I believe you can take your scrap metal there. I've never tried it.
Scrap metal?
Scrap metal.
Really? Okay. Well, at least the space is being used, so that's important.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's probably being used quite well. For it was a refugee site, so it's got you can't imagine there's various contaminants. You can't do everything easily on it. It's pretty good that it's something like that. So then, having realised that we couldn't get the tip going again, Row Resource, which came out of the Parish Council RAG group, which was called the Waste and Recycling Action Group. These things have all been going for years. And then a group of people, and that's been sort of hived off as a separate community interest company. And that was the group that started the Second Life. But Second Life has started on a very different footing. So they have a lease with Carol, who runs the shop, which used to be Taffles. They have three managers, Alexandra, Naomi and Colette. I think Colette's still there. And, it's booming. So we're opening, I think, more than we were originally. and people are donating lots.
Yeah.
I don't know what the figures
Lots
are,
of volunteers. It's vibrant. It's a massive positive impact on the community.
And the next challenge, because I did say they're going to get so much money, they're going to actually have to work out what to do with it, because actually that's quite a responsibility.
Yeah, of course.
And there's plenty of need, but it's trying to work out what's the right way to allocate it to be
And is it run
bountiful.
as a sort of a function of the council, or is it run separate
It's separate
charity,
separate.
complete
It's
charity,
called
or
Pro Resource, which I think is set up as a charity. You can
or
find their
CIC
website.
or something like that?
Yeah, community interest company. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
So people like Lynn Squires, my neighbour, has been fantastic, and I know she's on the board of that. And I don't know who else does it. Kate Taylor-Smith, I think, is on the board.
Okay.
And Eva Davis, maybe. I'm not quite
There's
sure.
some people that are very, very, active
Totally.
members who
Totally.
seem to take part in everything.
Totally.
Amazing that
Yeah.
they've got the
It's a
energy and the
huge amount
time
of-
to volunteer to put into all these amazing projects.
But you could go back and so what tends to happen is people have energy and they expend it, and then I look at the venue and I think, well, thank you, Ruth and Wendy and other lady and Keith, who was our chair at that time, Keith Foley. They did a huge amount of work and they raised a lot of money, and then Toby Douch came and built it. But none of those people are involved anymore. See them around the village sometimes. I know that Ruth still helps the youth centre.
Well, it's good that they're inspired to take part and contribute to the
Totally.
community, and they put these amazing projects together, and then they've done their thing, right?
Well, it's a different time of life, isn't it? So things and people burn brightly for a while, and then you kind of get a bit burnt out, and then you do the things you can go back
and
forth.
it's probably
And people have
project
different
specific
ideas.
as well.
Totally.
Like if you've got this project, it inspires you, you want to put the time and effort,
Yeah,
maybe you've got the time and effort
absolutely.
available,
Yeah.
great, put it into it, and then
That's right.
things change.
And then the next thing comes along.
Yeah,
Totally.
like the skate
And-
park is another amazing project.
Yep.
So there's lots
The
of beautiful
bridge,
community
the
stuff going on,
library,
right?
And things I can think of that started and have now finished. So we had the car share club that I was involved in starting years ago, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you did. Were you
I
ever
used
aware
the
of that?
car.
Oh, you
Yeah, I
did?
used the car.
Oh, brilliant! I'm so glad about that.
Yeah, the car
I never
share
did.
club.
I wanted to, but never actually got around to
Yeah, it was
use
great. It was really good. It's good to
and
have
it's
a
a
car.
pity now that we don't have it. Do you miss it, or have you worked out how else to do it?
Well, I then bought a car because I had a van.
Yeah.
And I was using my van as a car, and that didn't make any sense.
Right.
So then I actually bought a car because
Yes.
I had a girlfriend. Got to have a car. You can't be taking your girlfriend around in a van. It's just not good. So
And it's funny, isn't it? 'Cause it doesn't really work for me because I live 2 miles out of the village centre. So actually having a car club that was based here was actually no good because I'd had to get here every time.
Yeah.
It's fine if you live within 5-10 minutes walking distance, but actually it makes you realise that for it to work properly, it has to have many different outposts.
yeah, which again is difficult.
So I've tried to get my neighbours. I've tried to get my neighbours to share actually my car or my electric bike, and so far they haven't taken me up on it, but maybe they will.
I know, because that's the idea, isn't it? Is to
it's
you know
sharing.
we
It's
all
a sharing economy.
Yeah, we all buy these electrical items, and these items that could be shared. So, for
now
example, if
share-
you buy a good lawnmower,
Yeah.
I know people that have got a
And they sit
square
most
about
of the time.
5 meters, and they've bought a lawnmower to mow the square once every 5 months.
And then, and you get some firms, so then our lawnmower firms will actually just come around and mow your square because actually it's much easier just to have someone else turn up and mow it for you.
Absolutely,
I think,
yeah.
for some people, but totally that. So I've tried to start a library of things where people can borrow those things.
You can learn
Yes.
them. You can buy really good quality ones.
We haven't yet got that going properly.
Again,
But
it
will.
takes a lot of
It takes some
management
time. And also people wanting the right things that other people have got. So Froome is put out as a good example. They have a fantastic library of things.
Really?
But actually,
Okay. So you
curious-
could go there and hire a drill or
Yep.
hire
It's
something
brilliant.
that's useful. Okay.
Go and have a look at the Froome Library of Things website. But amusingly, when I actually looked at it, the most popular items for hire were wedding bunting. I thought, well, that's very nice, but it's not essential. Whereas here, when I put it out, the first thing we were asked for was a dehumidifier. And I did ask the parish if we could buy one, but I don't think we ever actually got round to buying one. But something that functionally people really needed for their houses if it was damp.
Yeah, but again, the
But then
dehumidifier is
that
something
might sit
you
there for a long
use.
time.
Yeah, you use
So
on
perhaps it
an
isn't.
ongoing
So perhaps
basis.
that's a
Pretty
grant.
much
Second
6
life
months, isn't
to
it?
buy people a dehumidifier.
Yeah,
no,
that seems to be an
absolutely.
issue around.
Yes, it's dank.
damp
dank.
houses, isn't
You're
it?
from South Africa, so
Yeah.
I guess you probably come here and think, well, it's a bit wet. Grover's even
a bit
wetter
wet.
and Wales, but yeah, it's England. So
Yeah, it just
nice
seems to be a
know.
general problem.
Yeah, and the houses were built, 120 years ago, so they weren't. People lived differently. They left their windows open more often. They didn't
Sure.
expect to have the same kind of amount of washing.
Yeah, and also if you keep
They
your
did
windows
wash.
closed, you don't get the air circulation.
You have to kind of know how to live in an older house.
Yeah.
And there are ways to do it, but it might be colder, you know, and
we're not used to it. We're used to living at least 21 degrees.
you might be. Come from South Africa. I was going to say, we've got one big room downstairs. It's a pain to heat. And we used to keep a temperature monitor in it, and it used to regularly through the winter be between 10 and 13 degrees. That's pretty cold, actually. If you sit in it for
That
very
is pretty
long,
cold.
you
That
don't
is
sit in
cold.
it.
10
No.
and 13 is pretty cold.
Occasionally we put the wood burner on for like high days and holidays, but otherwise you just kind of run quickly and go to the kitchen because the kitchen was warm. But no, because we have single glazing still downstairs. But you know, that's not uncommon in this country because our housing stock is the oldest in Europe, which probably means the oldest in the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a challenge.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like it. The houses are not very well built at the
And
moment.
well, they're building them better, but they still chuck up huge estates of boxes that I don't. You know, we don't.
Oh no, the new
automatically
houses
put-
are.
They're appalling, aren't
yeah.
they?
Although
well, some are.
the regulations are pretty strict in terms. I've seen some houses with
I
very
think they
very
really
good
vary.
insulation.
I think they really vary. It depends who the developers are. But that's one of my things because I was a district councillor for 12 years, and one of my
Yeah.
things was when you build a house, you should build it right first time. We've got
Sure.
a fantastic builder, Toby Douch, in the village, and he's built some amazing houses, some eco projects and things, and you build it right in the first place. You put enough insulation in, you put your solar panels in, you put your underfloor heating in. You don't wait and see people want these things, you just put them in,
Sure.
you know? And I tried to get a thing where every house, even if it's like an extension, should have a water butt put on it. And I was told that we couldn't mandate that because there was a risk of Legionnaire's disease. And it's like, oh, please, come on. And I think now, after the drought we've had for the last couple of years, I think it might get a bit of a different reception if you said, right, every house should have.
So, for
built
example,
extension.
that question, right, around, for example, saving water. Who would stop you from saving water? Is
Well,
that so? That was for
was
human
the risk.
consumption.
Yeah,
That's the
no,
difference?
not for human consumption. Not for human consumption.
Yeah.
It's for Legionnaire's disease. They were worried about the one man in a million who
Yeah.
happens to be watering his garden and his water butt hasn't been cleaned out for 5 years and he catches Legionnaire's disease from
Oh,
it.
really?
Because apparently that does very occasionally happen.
I know,
But-
but you
but-
can't legislate, or you can't.
No, but you
every
see,
eventuality
they kind of
is
wait a
this.
bit. Oh dear! Oh no, we can't make people do this just in case. It's that kind
In
of
case
health
one
and
person-
safety culture, you
Yeah,
know, which can be
exactly.
very frustrating. But we have to build differently. We have to put water butts on. Did you see the thing recently about the fact that if you have water butts, it helps the urban drainage, because it slows everything going through, so you don't get the same flooding of sewage and the rest of it.
Sure.
And it's a really cheap solution. Every house should have at least one water butt, if not several. We use them. We have we have animals. We have a pond. We have a very low consumption because the things that we can reuse water for, we do. But we should also be designing grey water systems for your houses. We should be
Sure.
washing our hands in the water that then goes in the toilet system.
Because now we're
Why
watering
don't
our
we
garden with
beautiful water that we can drink.
drinkable water.
Yeah, totally.
The same we're flushing our
Totally.
toilets
We
with
don't.
beautiful
We use the
drinking
stuff
water.
from our water butt.
Oh,
And we
good.
also have a very clever toilet that you can buy from Victoria Plumbing. I'm just going to say that. You can buy a toilet that has
Quick plug for Victoria Plumbing.
That's right. It has a sink in the
Wait,
system.
advertising break.
I'm nothing to do with them, but I saw them in Japan 25 years ago because they've got such a pressure on space that they have a washing sink above your cistern.
Uh-huh.
So you wash your hands with the water that then goes into the cistern, which
Oh,
you then
yeah,
use to
makes
flush.
sense again.
Why doesn't it make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah.
It's not
These simple
difficult.
solutions, they're not that
Yeah,
complicated,
really.
are they?
And people go, oh, that's clever. There's one in a restaurant on the Pantas in Tunbridge Wells too that I found. Those are the only two, mine and that. They're the only ones I've ever met around here.
So this is
Why
the thing
don't
about
we have-
permaculture, which you were talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
earlier.
Well,
Per-
no, you were talking to
Yeah, we talk
Well,
about.
we can talk about
yeah,
permaculture.
permaculture is all about creating these systems
totally.
where energy is flowing and not brought in and not.
That's right.
It's
Clever
a recycling
solutions.
systems.
Totally.
Yeah, amazing.
And if you design it right in the first place, oh yes, that's right. Because we talked about going on the permaculture course. Of course we
Yeah,
will.
yeah.
Sorry, my brain's everywhere. But yeah, and it is, and you can do it so differently. But we often don't
Very
think like
clever.
that.
The way they
Yeah,
integrate
yeah.
their systems into a managed
It's to
system.
do with the different what's it called? The meeting of different environments.
Yeah.
So you get
so
most creativity
at the
meeting
boundary
point.
at the
Yeah.
boundary where all
It's
the
one of things
creativity
about politics
happens.
that I like actually, because I always find that you get the best discussions when you have a good balance between opposition and those in power. Which is why Britain's been a bit crap for the last little while, because we've had a useless opposition.
Yeah. Well,
And,
look at who was that guy? He was doing a discussion, a debate on the vaccine and the harms of the
right.
vaccine.
Right.
Literally, he stood up in Parliament, and the whole of Parliament just left.
Oh, right.
He was standing there by himself giving
Right.
this lecture or this debate or this question and answer series on vaccines.
Perhaps it wasn't the right forum for that. Perhaps that wasn't the right forum for it.
Well,
I don't know about
I don't know.
that.
This is the
I'm
thing.
not an anti-vaxxer, so I don't know what.
No, but this is.
But it is about debate.
It's about having people who are able to
views.
discuss things,
Totally,
who have different
totally.
views. And I was saying that to Jason,
Yeah.
is that it's a sign of maturity
Absolutely.
and, a sign of openness that you can sit with somebody else and completely disagree with them
I disagree
and be
with-
okay with that.
I disagree with what you say, but I will defend the death your right to say it.
Yeah, and that we
And
can actually
that's
take
how
on
it should-
somebody else's
Totally.
opinion and go, maybe that does make sense.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not looking at it from that viewpoint, and
My
maybe that
husband-
viewpoint could inform me.
I often think my husband's wrong for a long time, and then all of a sudden I realise he's right. It's really
Off on the
annoying.
way, off on the
Really
way.
annoying. But but it's true, and that happens. The parish council, we get all sorts, or we have had over the years, all sorts of ridiculous arguments about all sorts of stupid things that people get so het up about, and it's like, yeah, that's good. It's good people are passionate, but sometimes you just think, okay, you have to agree to disagree, and you have to accept if there's a vote and the majority vote comes out this way. I think that's like Brexit again, which perhaps wasn't set up the best way, but these things happen, and then if that's your system, you have to go with it. You
Sure.
might learn a lesson from next time and think, okay, we won't do it unless there's a 2/3 majority rather than a 1% majority, but that's learning, and we try and learn on the small questions rather than the big ones.
Sure, well, that's a question for you then. What is the process of local council government? Like,
Committees. Is
yeah,
how it
so it's a
works,
committee, and you meet regularly, and then you vote on certain subjects.
basically.
You
Yeah.
vote on certain.
Yes. Shall we? I mean, the big decisions are things like, shall we use some of the parish precept to buy a new bit of land for the cemetery? Or shall we establish ourselves as a certain kind of council that's then allowed to borrow in a certain way? Or should we raise the precept, which is the part of the local tax bill that goes for the local forestry or parish council? We do have one of the highest ones in Wielden, but we also do more things than most other villages and towns. So we have, we have had things like the car club, we have the community fridge, the library, all sorts of things that other places don't have. And
Is that because everybody's more involved, or
think
there's
it's good
certain people that
size.
are more enthusiastic?
we're big enough here. So I live up in Ashurst Wood. Ashurst Wood's smaller.
Yeah.
You don't get so much happening. You don't have
Sure.
a fully staffed parish office because I think there's one person, Rebecca, who runs the parish office half a day. Half
So
she works
do they
half
still have a
days.
parish office?
Oh yeah, but it's not.
It's tiny.
She's working half time.
Sure.
So whereas here we have a number of people who work full time.
Sure.
And we do a lot of things here. We used to have someone who could. In fact, we do still have the market manager. We fund someone, and a third of their job will be running the market. Not all parishes will be able to or want to do that.
Sure.
Our precept goes towards that. We have the community warden. The community warden walks around and sorts out people leaving nitrous oxide canisters on the field,
Yeah.
cars parked on the A22 where they shouldn't be, people who've left their mobile phones down, all sorts of stuff. Ladies who have heart attacks in girls. He sorts out all sorts of random things.
Sure.
But we pay for him. Nobody else chose to have one. I think actually we're quite good having him because we've never got any rural police. Supposedly, we were supposed to get them, but they don't come here.
Yeah,
because
sure.
actually our crime's quite good. That's the problem. We don't have enough crime.
Sure.
It sounds awful. Of course, we have more crime than we want to have, but compared to other places, we have very low crime, and therefore we don't get the.
Well, it
police
seems to be
resources.
when there is crime, it's not locals. It's more.
Yeah.
It's more gangs
coming
travelling
in
through,
from
or
Western.
people coming from different areas to
Yeah, I
to
think
take
so.
advantage of.
I think so. I mean, there's a little bit of rumbling about here, but nothing really right. I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I live in a rural area, and there are thefts. Someone stole my next door neighbour's roller. This is a 3-ton roller for fields, and he reckons they turned up looking for hay, found they only had straw, so they took his roller instead. How can you steal a 3-ton roller?
Apparently they can.
But they did.
Apparently
they
come
drove
in,
off down the
yeah.
road
They're crazy,
with a massive bit of kit. And in fact, another neighbour had a caravan stolen. That's after they stole all his chainsaws because he ran a wood, like a tree searching business. And they came back to get his chipper, but when by then he locked his chipper away behind lots of doors. Because they couldn't get his chipper, they took his caravan at 8 o'clock on a Thursday evening.
Yeah, incredible.
quite incredible.
Incredible how they get away with it. Incredible in broad daylight.
So anyway, we digress, because rural crime isn't something that actually many of us can do much about at this level, but we do have a warden that we do pay for. So yeah, that's the only thing we can actually do at this level.
Great. Can I ask you, what is your history around like the council? Because I did read I think on some website there's a PDF
Right.
with your history and what you've been doing.
One of those? Interesting.
Yeah. Did you know?
I don't know which one you found.
Have you ever seen the PDF?
I'm not sure which one you found. So
On your history, on everything about Rowena Moore.
Was that my blog? Because I can't find my blog. I used to have a blog and I don't know what happened to it. I can't get
I'll
into
send you
it.
the link. It's quite interesting.
Right, yeah. So when I first had a child and left my work, and I was sort of dimbling about wondering what to do with myself, and my husband said, why don't you stand for local elections?
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea. Next thing you know, you're sitting in a caravan in the pouring rain thinking, is anyone going to vote for me? That was 2003.
It's quite a thing. It takes quite a lot of courage to actually stand up and put yourself out there.
And it's something that we're not used to. So I've been in Switzerland recently. Now in Switzerland they have referendums every quarter. People are used to voting every quarter. Yeah,
and they vote for everything.
They vote.
They vote
right.
for if the government wants to put through a law, they get to vote on it.
Or if they want
I think it's brilliant.
If they want a local head of the primary school, or they want to, build a new road, they get to vote.
They get to vote on every big decision, which is
absolutely.
amazing.
And that's how the cantons work. And it's an incredible system. We don't have that much direct involvement, so we only get this sort of once every 3 or 4 years or other things. And I think a lot of people are a bit sort of scared. They're just not. They're not familiar with the process. So, so it's great. We've got more people standing for the parish council than there are seats to fill, because then you actually have an election.
And also to start this conversation to
mature
get
democracy, you have to have the discussion to get a more mature democracy, because otherwise we will become more and more ignorant. We don't discuss it. So I don't think I have a chance of winning the district seat back from Patricia. She's a nice person, it's local government, the Green Party worked really hard. I suspect that they will get it again. I'd be really glad if I can get as many votes as I got last time when I was completely kicked in the bottom for Brexit.
And what are you standing for? What's your...
I'm standing as an independent.
As an independent?
In the past I've stood as a Conservative, but this time I'm standing as an independent.
Well, that's good news. Not that I'm biased in any way.
Well, we gave up our family Conservative Party membership about 2 years ago for various reasons, and it's been a complete dog's breakfast. But it was frustrating last summer because I desperately didn't want Liz Truss to be the next leader, but I couldn't vote then, which really annoyed me because I thought, oh bother, I should have kept my membership going. I just sent texts to Liz instead, please, Rishi. But it's so you lose your, not being in a party, you lose your voice in that sense, but also you get a freedom. And because I've done it a bit, I've been around a bit, I kind of have the confidence now to stand. I wouldn't have had the confidence to stand as an independent 20 years ago at all. But now I kind of think, what can I lose? Doesn't matter. I can come and talk to you on a nice day. Think I'm involved in lots of things. I know about these things. I know who's been involved in these things for years. I've got a lot to give still, but equally I've done my time, so I've got whatever happens.
So you're okay either way.
Whatever happens, it's fine.
Because that's at the end of the day.
That process.
Yeah, the main thing is the person
process.
who stands, has a good intention. That's obviously number one. The intention to serve, and then it's up to fate.
So I'm just going to say this to the camera. Forrester is really lucky because you've got a choice of me and Patricia, and we're both really decent. And I've been friends with Patricia since 20 years. Yeah. And so actually, it was really nice because when I campaigned last time round, I remember getting interviewed by someone and they sort of said, and I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to get it because the news on the doorstep's pretty tough. But I thought, it's fun. And there was no dirty tricks. I have had in the past a bit of dirty tricks, which is not nice. That seems to happen in lots of places. But Patricia and I are decent, honourable people. Yeah, she's really lovely. Nice, and I'm lovely too.
Yeah. It's nice to meet you, and you are lovely.
Yeah, thank you. But it's that kind of, let's have some decency in politics. It doesn't have to be down and dirty, but equally we might have different views. So I think Patricia is really lucky. I ummed and ahed a lot about it because at first they said, will you stand as Conservative in Hartfield? And I said, no, I don't, because I've never been involved really in Hartfield, and I don't want to stand as the Conservative this time round.
Just let me get it right, Rowena. There's the councillors, and so what is the difference? What are you standing for? There's district and parish.
So parish is the most local level.
The local one, yeah.
And that's the one that I think I can't remember how many seats. Is it 12?
12 was it? Okay.
So that's one Jason's standing for.
Okay,
that's one I have done myself on and off for quite a long time.
Sure.
We meet just over there in the community centre.
Yeah.
These days sometimes on Zoom because that's the wonderful thing of having COVID.
Yeah, that's great. Good option.
A few silver linings.
Yeah.
district meets down in Hailsham, and it's a much bigger district. So it goes. We're in the north, Forest Road. It goes right down to Pevensey Bay and all around there. It covers Hailsham, Uckfield, Crowborough. So a much bigger area.
Okay, bigger area.
Much more formal.
And so you're
I'm standing with that with Patricia.
With Patricia. So one of the two of you will get in.
Yes, that's right.
In that sort of capacity.
Yes.
And in that capacity, you will be sort of the representative of
Forest Row.
Just Forest Row.
Just Forest Row at the District Council.
Okay, at the District Council. So obviously Forest Row, as a parish council, has to send a representative to the bigger council so that they they can't send 12 people.
No, and curiously, there's no direct overlap. So there's two different elections. So you have the parish elections, and you have the district council elections. And then the next level up is county councils. That's East Sussex, that we are members of.
Yeah.
And then above that you get MPs, so members of parliament. And each time you get a bigger area, and bigger budgets, and more responsibility, and less hands-onness.
And that's more professional, more professional sort of political.
Probably, possibly. Yeah, no, I'd say
so. Even at district level, it's still volunteer. It's still.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's still volunteer. You volunteer your time.
We're all volunteers. We do get we can get what's the word?
Expenses allowance.
A bit more expenses allowance, which in the south east tends to be pretty minimal. I was quite surprised when I heard that in the north of England these things can be like salaries. Some district and county councils up in the north of England are getting 30,000-40,000 a year. It's like, whoa! I think Wealdon.
That's more than volunteer.
Yes, I think Wealdon's is like 4,000 a year. Well, that's nice. It'll help cover your petrol, but
sure.
it won't.
But you've got to have your expenses covered if you're travelling back and forth.
Yeah.
How much time commitment is there on a weekly basis?
How long's a piece of string?
So you just depend on how much effort you want to put in.
So at one point I was a cabinet member for waste to recycling, and we put our contract out to tender, and we went from having an in-house waste collection service to having an external service. People who've been around will remember this time when it first went to Keir. It was a complete dog's breakfast. They sacked the people, or they moved all the bin drivers around. So areas like mine, the houses have names and they're down wiggly roads. Yes. If you don't know where you're going, you're
crazy.
stuffed.
I know. I try to find places all the time.
So for about
don't know what's happening.
4 or 5 months, we had chaotic bin collections. I
imagine.
picked up bins. I'd go to old ladies' houses and empty their bins myself. I carried a bin bag in the back of my car with some rubber gloves because it was so bad. And they'd gone through a tender process. They'd all been nicely signed off. They were disastrous. Anyway, it's now gone to Biff, which is much better. So that's good.
Great.
But at that point, I would say I was working more than full time every day.
As a volunteer, on a volunteer
Well,
basis?
as a district council. I was then a cabinet member, so I was getting a slightly bigger allowance of 10 grand a year. But 10 grand a year is not very much if you're working full time at that level and picking up people's bins yourself.
Yeah, that doesn't go very far.
And then the next minute going down to a joint waste meeting with 3 different councils all argue about the fact that these contractors are not doing a good job and what are you going to do about it. And we were one of the worst hit districts because we were right at the furthest end, away from the depot. So it did all get lined out eventually, but at that point it was more than a full-time job. I was getting texts. I remember it was this time of year. I was away for this same weekend, Easter weekend, and I was being deluged by calls and texts from people saying, I don't know what to do. I reported my bin. And poor people who they don't know what to do with their rubbish. It's overflowing. They've got nowhere to put it,
sure.
and no one's come. No one's come for 6 weeks. And when is someone going to come?
Sure. Well, for example, what is the channels of communication between somebody who has an issue,
right,
and getting it done?
I always try to encourage people to ask their counsellor, because either they'll say yes, I can help with that, or I can't. So just
we had
pick
this
up the phone,
thing with the branch.
Yeah.
If something like that happens, you're like,
can we
okay.
just explain what the thing with the branch is?
Yeah.
I was sitting
the thing with the branch
by the green on a bench under a tree, and we were just chatting, looking at these deer ears.
Sound.
And it hit me on the head.
Rowena nearly got taken out by a tree.
It hit me on the head. Well, this branch actually broke on my head. Luckily it was quite rotten, but the branch, not my head. So I took a little video because that tree needs to be checked out. It's a bit dangerous that anyone can be hit on the head by a falling tree.
So there's certain things like...
So I report that.
Yeah, which is important.
Yes, it's like potholes or...
Yeah, like for example, what is going on with the potholes?
Ask Georgia. Councillor Georgia Taylor is the one to worry about potholes. So You can do it direct. You can report a pothole yourself. There's some kind of pothole hotline. You just
there is.
register it, and that's actually a good idea.
It does actually work.
It does
because
work. Yeah, it does. It works.
Like the potholes have been bad for a long time.
Yeah,
it's not
worse
just
over winter. It was worse this time of year, but yes, exactly.
It's like I haven't seen anybody working on them either.
They did that ridiculous thing to the middle of Forest Road, which was all perfect for about 2 minutes, and now goes, you can feel it on the bike. It's not good.
Yeah.
And then potholes further down.
Yeah.
But no, so East Sussex deals with roads. So each area. So District is East Sussex is kind of roads, adult education, schools.
Yeah, they've got
services.
the bigger budgets.
Yeah, the bigger budgets
and
and
the
that
bigger
kind of stuff.
infrastructure. Sure.
District is waste collections, planning, environmental health. Those are the big ones.
But surely the level of communication or the channel of communication should go resident, local councillor, district councillor to the bigger.
Yeah.
It shouldn't really have to go from the locals to like the district, right?
Oh yeah, no, it should. It can do because you can just get straight in touch with the person if you know who you want to ask. If I know I want to ask Georgia about the fact that the drains on Wall Hill are blocked, there's no point me asking my local person, which might be Robert, to say, Robert, the drains are blocked on Wall Hill, because if all Hill says, go and speak to Georgia.
Okay, so that's a good way to communicate
it's
anyway.
It's like talking to your MP. Your MP will encourage you to get in touch with them
directly, rather than going through your council.
No, totally. Because what on earth can I do helping this? I do occasionally. So people have come to me and said, I've emailed this and I haven't had a response.
Okay.
And if I think, that's a bit poor, it's got missed somewhere, I'll take it up, and that's had a good response. You can do, because you can kind of wave your head a bit, wave your hand.
Okay. So Miss Ghani is our MP for this area.
For Wealdon.
Yeah, and she's still
Have
around.
Have you met her?
No.
She's amazing. You should meet her.
Really?
She's the first British Muslim female in Parliament.
Okay.
And I'm very proud of the fact that Wealdon, as a fairly white area, elected her. Actually.
Is she a local? Is she actually living local?
She is now, yeah. She lives in Buxted. Oh, I probably shouldn't say
that. But she's.
No, she doesn't live in Buxted. She lives somewhere. She used to live in Buxted. Anyway, yeah.
I don't even know where Buxted is.
That's fine. She does live in the constituency now, and she moved here when she first came up for selection. So once you've been selected for the seat, it's what MPs or candidates often do. Once they're selected to fight a seat, they often move into that area, because otherwise.
But how's it even possible that she gets elected for that seat if she's not living in she's not in touch with the local community?
So at that stage, the Conservatives did something quite broad-minded. They have something called open hustings. So they shortlisted, I think it was 4 candidates, and we had an evening at the East Sussex National Hotel. Yeah. And there was a nurse, there was a market trader from Liverpool, there was a local, no, she wasn't that local, but she was a very nice lady who'd worked for McKinsey's, and then there was another chap who I can't remember much about. And the 4 of them had basically been approved. They were all okay. And the doors were open to everybody, not just Conservatives. Everybody could say, I'd like to come on this evening, and help select which of those will be the next Tory candidate, because it is quite it has been a safe seat here in Wealdon. So I suppose they kind of knew that it would be good to let other people have a choice then, because a lot of people feel out of the democratic process. They sort of say, oh, my vote doesn't matter. Yeah. So anyone could go along that day. They could all say which of those 4 they'd like. And I thought she was head and shoulders above everybody else. She was amazing. Okay. And I'd met her before that time, because she'd seen me on the Wealdon District Council list of people. She probably thought, oh, there's a younger, I say younger because it does tend to be older, younger female, I will get in touch. And she came down from wherever she lived, and she just said, look, is there any point me trying to get this seat in this rural affluent area of the southeast? And I said, absolutely, go for it. And she did. She did all her homework, and she got a brilliant reception, and she's done very well. We're very lucky. She's a good constituency MP. They're not all good. Most of them have a good sense, as you say, of service. They want to serve, but it's a tough job, and I think it's become increasingly shitty with social media. I think they get a huge. The females, I know, particularly the women, have had so much. They get so much abuse. Really? Why would anyone do that?
Well, you do put yourself out. You do.
Well, you do.
You put yourself out, and it's
social media enables more nutters to send
absolutely
more
because there's no feedback loop, isn't there?
And it's ghastly. And I think that sort of, it's not good for teenagers, and it's not good for people in the public eye either, because it's not nice to have your safety threatened, or people saying, I want to kill your son or whatever. It's nasty.
Sure, because it brings out the nutters. It really attracts the Sure.
And anyone can be a keyboard warrior.
Absolutely. There's no consequences. No, exactly. People can say anything, do anything.
So
and
I think the job has become a lot harder. I think it used to be quite civilised, and you go to nice church openings and hospital openings and things like that. And I think it's become an awful lot less attractive.
Sure.
I would say.
So have you heard of these 15-minute cities? Is that something that could be imposed, for example, on a town, village like Forest Road?
15-minute sittings. Cities. Oh, yeah, I have. Yeah, where everything's within walking distance.
Yeah.
It's not really appropriate here because we're not really a city. We're a village.
Okay.
My electric bike can get me from here to East Grinstead or to Ashurst Wood in less than 15 minutes.
That's
good.
that type of sort of dictates
like
couldn't be imposed on a place like Forest Road.
It's a completely different development. I think it's good if you're designing a big urban centre. Absolutely, that you shouldn't have to move too far within that urban centre to get.
Yeah, because what they're trying to do is slow down, remove cars, but it's not quite controversial.
It is quite controversial, and it's a city thing rather than this is country.
So they could do it in Brighton.
It takes 10 minutes to get to Hartfield anyway. So you can't.
Most people spend within 15 minutes anyway.
Yeah,
so it's not really appropriate for.
It's not really appropriate, but we're lucky. But it's why you want to keep your village butcher, your village shop, your village second life. You need a level of community services. Your post office. We've got an excellent post office in Ashurst.
The library still here.
The library, yeah. You need those things because otherwise people have to travel for it. You need an outpost of the doctor's surgery. You need your schools, and you need people to use those services locally because otherwise it just becomes a dormitory.
Yeah.
So that is, but we're lucky. Forest Road. I think Forest Road is a sweet spot. It's big enough.
Yeah,
to
but it's
sustain
not too big.
More than one hairdresser.
Sure.
In fact, we've got several butchers around. We've got the Tablehurst ones. We've got Alan Martin up in Ashurst Wood.
Yeah.
There's one in Hartfield.
So there's a good mixture of different services
totally.
available.
And a lot of people come here. We've got a lot of coffee shops now, but actually they all do quite well.
Yes.
And one has a bike shop that has a coffee shop, and one's a dressmakers that has a coffee shop.
There's lots of variety for everybody. There's something for everybody.
Keep going. There's exactly that. But we've still got. I was very pleased with Bishop's closed. And then we've got the little, really good little haberdashery. Not haberdashery is not the right word. What is it? Like a household shop. You can go and buy string or window wipers or
like a hardware shop.
Hardware. That's the word. That's what I'm looking for.
Hardware,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's fantastic. Everything's in
Everybody
there.
needs one.
Everyone needs one.
You really do
If
need one.
you haven't got one.
When you don't have one,
exactly.
you really know that
you
need one.
When you go to B&Q in East Grinstead or you go online, and then the people that can't do that can't get to the one in the corner there, just up near the old parade, and they can't go and buy their wonderful thing. Because when you're older, you tend not to need so much stuff, but you might just need a particular kind of soap.
Yeah, it's always those handy stuff that you need. That's just that little thing.
So
makes
I went there
a difference.
recently, and I found you can buy this kind of it's washing up soap. So I got some from Seasons, which I was very impressed with. It's like a bar of soap you use with your washing up brush, and I forget the chap's name in there, but he said to me, we sell that. We sell the one that your mother would have used. And sure enough, there he had this sort of much more like industrial looking rather than Seasons kind of, hippy dippy Mac one, which is very good as well. And I was like, they've got it. How lucky are we? We've got two different shops selling hard, non-plastic involved dishwashing soaps. That's a good place to be, I reckon.
I know. Yeah. We've got a good range of services, a good range of access to.
But we were a village that for years. Did you ever come to the festival and the man playing the piano with the silent movies?
With his?
The silent movies.
I know.
So.
Which year was that?
Years it ran.
Yeah.
So there, I forget his name. I think he might have been Terry. But they put on these 1920s silent movies, and he would play the piano through the whole thing live.
Oh, I said.
They were wonderful, just wonderful.
Okay.
And I don't know quite what's happened, but he certainly hasn't been there for the last few years. But it was just such a wonderful spirit where everyone's together, laughing at the same jokes, hearing him tinkling away for it's a marathon for him.
How long have you been in Forest Road?
I've been in Ashurst Wood for about 22, 23, 24 years now.
24 years.
When you first move in, you're like, the newbie, and now I feel like the old person who's been here for a very long time. So yes, it's amongst my neighbours, my one set of neighbours have still been here longer than me, but everybody else is newer.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, like, in terms of the election and the district and the parish council, so when we go to vote, we'll get the opportunity of choosing or having two different voting
You have two
options.
different papers. One will be for parish and one will be for district.
Okay, great. So you and Patricia are standing for the top. So
District?
either way, I think we're pretty good.
Yeah, you'll be lucky.
And then the parish councillors at the bottom are doing
Not at the bottom, but
not at the bottom. No, I don't mean at the bottom. Not that there's no pyramid.
Well, there is a hierarchy. It's true. There is a hierarchy. You call it the hierarchy of local government. So there is.
Yeah.
But
there's 12 in that sort of area. Okay.
I think so, yes.
Probably.
And
Sure.
and two of them are called Alex Waters.
I
and
know,
one of them
I
is
was
called
very surprised.
Alex
Very
Walkers,
surprised.
and it's a lady. So,
Yes.
I mean, and I know one Alex Waters.
It could get very
It
confusing.
could get very confusing. I know one
Yeah.
Alex Waters because
You're
he's
going
been
to
on
have photos of everybody.
there are some photos around, but
Yeah.
Alex has been on the parish council already. Great chap.
Yes.
Alex Waters, the other one, I didn't realise I knew because I'd given him a lift up the hill one day when it was raining.
Yes.
But he dropped a thing and he's like, "Oh, I know you." I was like, "Oh, yes." So he's the other Alex Waters.
Okay.
And then I don't know the other Alex Walkers, but there's
Well,
a picture.
I interviewed
and that's
Alex
a lady.
yesterday. Yeah.
Red hair?
Yeah, I
that's
interviewed her
right.
yesterday. You'll see her.
Okay, well
you'll
that's
see the
handy. So,
interview, yeah.
but you know, so people are
She's
going to have
lovely.
to be a little bit on the ball to actually work out
Yeah.
who they want, because that kind of thing's really confusing.
Yeah, well-
it's never happened as far as I'm aware before that there have been three people with the same first name and almost the same surname.
True,
It's crazy.
True. But I think the way they're doing it and their marketing and their branding and their websites and their flyers is so good. It's really
I have mixed feelings. Because to me they're being a party, but they're not a party. So I get that it gives people confidence. I think that's a very good thing to do it collectively, and
Yeah.
it saves delivering 15 people delivering all their leaflets.
yeah.
We always used as a parish council actually collectively put in, if you wanted to do things, it would people put out a sort of a leaflet. So I feel a little bit sorry for those who have been on the parish council but who are not included in that group, because there are some good people there and you don't want to lose them because they haven't been marketed in the same way. So I do hope that people will vote for the people they know, that they like and respect, that they think have been effective around the village. And I hope,
Well, I guess it's
a
up to
number will get in.
those parish councils to, over the time, they've had the opportunity of creating those personal relationships. So you would,
And I think it's good because anyone can turn up to the sessions at the community centre. I think they're happening next Thursday and the following week or something. So there's no reason why they can't go along to those as well, which is good. So I think to me, any kind of democratic process is good. It's better. I'm not, when you say they're branding or the rest of it, I think it's good they put themselves out there. Yes, well done them. It's a bit strange because their stuff is printed in. It's printed in Southampton on Seal. It's printed miles away, and I thought, well, that's interesting. That's an odd decision, I suppose. Very slick. How very impressive to use a QR code. Go on, sorry, I'm a bit dinosaur again. But so I think that's all really good. But again, you've got to be careful you don't exclude people who don't feel comfortable with that, because there will be a section of the village who don't just go up to a leaflet and put their phone on the QR code.
yeah, but it does give people the option.
Totally.
And it's a great.
Totally.
It's great that it's being done.
Indeed.
Because
As I say, anything's better than nothing.
Yeah, I've never seen that level of, intentionality in terms of trying to communicate something.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to communicate their message, which is fantastic.
They're available. I mean,
Yeah.
There wasn't really much message apart from just saying we're here, but that's great.
Well, no, there was a very clear
was there?
message. Yeah, if you
Okay.
look at the back of the flyer,
I did.
it's yeah.
What was the message that you took away?
The message is that they're bringing a choice to the people in terms of they're getting feedback from people. So they're really open to getting feedback, finding out what people want, and being open to being in that dialogue, which
So-
I think is amazing.
All I would say is that I think all parish councils have always sought to do that. But of course, whether that's come across to different people is a different matter. If you've been involved in something with somebody, then hopefully you thought they were approachable. But I would say that that's always been the aim of everybody and the parish council.
Yeah, of
but
course,
it's
I'm
not
sure
always
it's the
easy.
aim,
Yeah, the
but
aim.
the actual
Might not
execution
always-
of it
Totally.
often doesn't quite get
There's a lady
to.
called Susie Miller who was a parish councillor with me who used to tear her hair out about the fact that she couldn't just send out a newsletter and couldn't get more kind of just easy kind of communication of what the parish council were doing, because half the time no one has a clue what's going on.
Well, it is all about
And-
communication.
It's all about
And this is the amazing
totally.
thing. Why?
And that's why you're doing this. Which is
This
lovely.
community app is so amazing
And
because
how long
it's
have we been going on for? Almost
48
an
minutes.
hour. Oh, no one's going to watch this.
no. We'll have to
You
cut
can
it.
duck in and out of it.
But the community
good
app
stuff.
is an amazing
Yeah,
platform
that's right.
in order to communicate exactly this.
Which is, and it's kind of like the way that those countries that didn't have a telephone system jumped the whole copper wire thing straight to satellite, and all of a sudden, remote places that wanted to be linked in and
Yeah.
have access to a hospital or something, suddenly could get it that they leapfrogged over it. This is the most amazing thing for democracy. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's great that you've come along and we can do this, because I couldn't do this I could, but it would be,
Well,
it would be
I think
poorly
also
done, shall we say.
hoping that people are being more engaged because they do realise that,
Well, it's
all
their
these things
money.
that are happening out
It's
there.
their money and it's their village.
Yeah, so it's good to have that engagement and to encourage people to be more engaged, and then be
You can't
able.
moan. You can't moan if you're not engaged.
No, no.
That's the thing. You can't.
And I think before people just trusted that the government and all the stuff out there wouldn't have any effect on your life, but then as soon as 2020 came, we found that they can have a massive impact on your life in a massive way.
Yeah.
And that's why, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, I haven't been engaged in the process. I don't feel I can have an impact on it, but maybe,
So you can always
maybe
have
there's
an
a
impact.
possibility.
You can always have an impact. You have to go back to the little mosquito that is so small but has an impact. But yeah.
But
it
again,
can feel
there's
like
always
bumping
this-
your head against a brick wall. Sometimes.
Yeah, but even around the whole concept of elections, as we saw in the American election, even though there's this semblance of democracy where, people go to vote, it's not whether that's free and fair is also in doubt, in my estimation. So
The American political process is a kind of rule to itself, isn't it? That you have to have so much money to even get onto that starting line.
yeah.
And it's this lot. But I mean, would you rather have the Chinese system where you have
No, of course not. Of
Xi
course not.
voting himself in again?
No, of course
for the
not.
umpteenth time with no women anywhere in sight and no.
You have to trust in
dissension
something. You
whatsoever.
have to trust
Well, yeah,
in something.
It's
right?
the best.
Yeah.
as,
It's the best
you know,
system we've got at the moment.
The best of a bad bunch, basically.
Yeah.
It's
So
not-
let's hope that we can get more than 30% of the people engaged in the
Engaged.
conversation. And I think things like this, like the app and being
totally.
able to communicate and being able
Makes a
to
big
educate
deal.
people and being able to say to people, well, you can have an impact.
And you can be a councillor. Anyone can be a councillor. Yeah, it's too late this time to put
Yeah.
your name forward. You can vote this time. Make sure you take your ID along. That's going to be a key thing, is taking your
Sure.
photo ID along.
Yeah.
But absolutely, next time round, if you don't like it or you have a good idea, you can always approach anyone with a good idea.
But
and
also,
say,
how
"Well,
do-
why is this like this? Why is
Yeah.
this happening like this? Why can't we do it like that?"
Yeah, and how do people engage with the process in between the elections?
You ring us up, or you send an email, or you bend our ear wherever we happen to be.
Yeah, so that's the thing.
all.
It's
It
like,
should be approachable. And I've always
yeah,
tried
we
to
should
be
know who the councillors
Totally.
are.
Well,
we
they're
should
on
know.
the website.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we should know where the website is. Like,
I've always parish council.
but maybe that's the thing is I
It's
haven't been
familiarity. It's
engaged
familiar-
enough.
No, it's familiarity, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
familiarity knowing those things. And it's, to me,
Yeah,
it's fairly natural that if I don't like something going on nationally, I will text them as a message.
yeah.
Because actually I, for years, have thought that is part of my democratic right, to be able to go,
Yeah.
and because I have a relationship with her, I might even get a response, not always, or I might get palmed off by somebody else, but
Yes.
that's fine. But, these are our elected representatives, and we are lucky in some ways. People moan about first past the post, but I do know that she is my person. I'm not... I have a lot of support for PR in some ways, but again, you have a list of people and you don't know who's your person. So there's always advantages, pros and cons in different systems.
Sure.
And I think that there is that direct thing. So when I was first district councillor here, there were two of us, and we covered the whole of Forest Row and Hartfield and a much bigger area.
Yeah.
And then they reduced the area, so there's a one-to-one relationship, which I think
Which is
better.
great.
Yeah.
And I think we need to find systems so that we can communicate and we can make those systems a lot more streamlined. So
Yes.
people have more access
Yes.
and feel like that
Totally.
your
And then
councils
maybe
are more
one day-
professional.
Maybe one day it'll be like the cantons in Switzerland, and we'll have some digital electorate system.
That is an amazing system,
Where we
actually.
sit there in the
Yeah.
thingy and we say, "Do we borrow this money to spend on X?"
And then
everyone
everybody
sits
gets to
at home.
vote on it.
Totally.
Yeah. It would be amazing.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it can't be that hard.
No, it can't be. It can't be.
Really?
But it needs a change of
Mindset.
mindsets and belief systems.
And technology.
Yeah.
But technology is now there to do that.
Absolutely.
And I think we need ID cards. I never used to think that before, but now I do think we need ID cards because, to be frank, my phone is my ID, and it's on me most of the time. And I think there's a whole quantum leap that we still haven't yet taken in terms of how citizens interact in this new technological world.
Sure.
So we're learning about that, and this is a great innovative start. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
well,
Thank you for my long interview. Thank you for this. I think it'll be interesting to see who else does this. I always remember the first time I was up against David and Vanya. They made a sort of video where they both sat on a bench, and I thought, oh gosh, that's cool. I wish I could do that. And it's having people around who know how to do that. I can make a video and send it to my daughter quite easily. How I'd put it in the right place, I forget to do. But
Well, these things are becoming more and more
Yeah,
easy. Like
totally.
I think like
Totally.
10 years ago, I don't think even making an app was as as accessible as it is now.
But you can now make an app.
Now you can make an app.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but it's more accessible.
Yeah.
It's not £10,000, for example.
No, it's amazing.
So it's more accessible to do it.
The democratization of apps.
Yeah, the democratization of technology, right?
Yeah,
and being able to
totally.
communicate. And also taking things more into the local level away from these big conglomerate technological companies.
Does AI scare you? Or do you see benefits?
I don't know enough about it to scare me. There's certain aspects of it that scare me, but I don't think we've got a choice. So we
No,
can't.
I don't think we've got a choice either. It's
It's going to come in and it's going to do what it does.
Totally.
So we might as well face
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to come, and we don't want to be left behind. We don't want to do in Italy and go,
No.
no, we don't want to have any. How they go? They're not going to do that anyway. They might try. They might say we're not allowed any AI in Italy, but
I don't think.
Come.
Yeah,
They can't stop it.
The problem is like. The power of AI is fantastic in the right hands. But in the wrong hands,
and you don't want it to.
I don't even want to think about it.
Me too. And I don't want it all to be in Russia and China's hands myself.
That's so you've got to have some
So therefore,
balance.
we have to have that innovation here. We have to go down that road. But oh my word!
Well, at the moment, it's very handy. It's very handy to have.
Oh yes, have you tried?
Brilliant.
I haven't even tried ChatGPT, but what I've seen.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Incredible.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I don't just
pretty shocking.
Pretty shocking. Exactly.
Shocking that it's so amazing.
Yes. Incredible, really.
Yeah.
So my aunt who I visited, she's 106, and she was born in 1917, at the end of the First World War. And I did a thing for her birthday, her 100th birthday, about the different decades. You know, when she was in the 20s, when they used to drive a car around, there were no red lights, or there were no traffic lights because there weren't many cars.
They didn't need any.
And then they realised that actually people were killing themselves by bashing it. And then they introduced something like traffic lights.
Can you imagine the changes she's seen over that lifetime? Phenomenal. Wow.
I'm walking up and down the road and buying the butter at the local shop. I wait in a wrapper and take it every day to internet shopping and everything else that's, and then you hear the stuff that's going, at the far front of this development.
Yeah, Amazon delivering their parcels with a drone.
I don't want drones everywhere. I don't like that idea
Can you
at all,
imagine?
actually.
The sky just being full of drones.
Please,
Amazon delivering their parcels.
No, I don't want that one.
No, there's certain technologies we could do without.
Bring back the hedges and the birds, please, but not the drones everywhere.
I do seem to choose like the most noisiest places to do my interviews.
It's got noisy.
So I apologise.
When we first started, it was like
we might not hear any of this.
Like one man and a dog, and now there's a heap of people skateboarding, which is great.
So we'll see how the sound comes out. But I like it because it's real.
Yes,
you can
totally
feel the sounds of life are happening all around us.
So, yes, I probably ought to go home.
Yeah, we should probably go. But thank you so much. It's been lovely.
It's been charming meeting you.
Yeah.
Very interesting, and I look forward to perhaps something else happening over the next month where we're all, debating this stuff.
It'd be great to see those opportunities. For example, I think Forest Way Forward are having these meetings.
They're having meetings which anyone can go to.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing. The more opportunity for people to take part and interact with the system.
It'd be interesting to see how many people go, because the parish council always runs its annual parish meeting, and I mean the last few years it's really hard to get anyone to turn out for these things. You put posters around the village,
really?
Say, come on, and everyone turns up there. Well, the parish council turn up saying this is what we're going to do. We provide free food. And
still doesn't bring them out.
Well, it does, but not many. Because most people, they've got other things.
Only the hungry ones.
Well, I think we are quite fat and happy, and I mean that in the nicest way.
Yeah,
but we're lucky. We haven't got anyone bombing us, shooting us. Capturing us from behind a hedge and taking us off and interrogating us.
We are very blessed.
We are very blessed.
I come from South Africa. It's very different in South Africa.
Yeah.
Very different. Like just sitting here is not even possible.
And we can talk about things. I can make jokes about Keir Starmer or Rishi Sunak. I can insult them and I won't get hooked up later.
Not at the moment. We'll see later.
I think the British, whatever it is, thing of free speech hopefully is.
We're still hanging on to the last bastions of freedom. Free speech.
And I think we talk ourselves down a lot in this country. We're very good. I don't know if you noticed that as a South
We're very humble.
Well, no, it's not. Humble's okay. It's the kind of always being very depressed about ourselves and always looking on the bad side. We do ourselves down a lot.
So you think we err on the side of pessimism?
Oh, totally.
Rather than optimism?
British people are very pessimistic. It's like they go, that person's done well. In America, they go, gee, great, he's earning $5 million, or he's done this, or he's created that. Whereas we go, it's very British. Kind of, that's a bit uncouth.
Yeah.
And that's our way. And it's very clearly, but we don't we are quite pessimistic. Maybe it's the weather. It
does have something to do with it.
It's that certain mindset, you know. If you know it's going to be something.
Toughing it out. You have to tough it out. You have to be tough in this country.
Maybe.
Just to have a smile in.
Actually, that's true.
You know,
in Finland, it's very cold, and they were very happy. But apparently, that's because they want to live so far away from each other that no one gets bugged by anybody else. We're quite dense. You know, that's the other thing. Is we are very densely packed. Might not feel like it if you're in the forest, but we really are. And actually, the fact that I think we're a very unracist country. Yes, we might be a bit racist, but compared to just about anywhere else, we are not. We have a lot of incredible variation in our scenery and our rural, you can see so many different places so close. And we have a lot of people here, but I mean that creates its own issues about pollution and sewage and all the rest of it. But actually we do a lot of it quite well.
Yeah. Well, for a land that is so densely populated,
that has a tube system that was created in Victorian times. I mean that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, we're often trying to deal with the legacy of having done things before most people did things. So, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing history. Amazing history.
Very nice to meet you.
You too, Rowena. I hope you feel like we've conversed.
We've
talked a lot.
Yes.
I can't even remember anything that we were particularly missed.
Apart from that tree landing on my head first.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience.
So, anyway,
Thank
get
you.
out and vote on the 4th of May. And,
Nice to
meet you.
Nice to
Yeah.
interact and
We were getting a bit
do all
cold,
that.
There you go. Well, I'll just get home because I'm going to meet someone at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, sure.
So I shall just tell him now. Sorry,